Hmm. Okay, good morning, everybody. It's Friday, sometime near the middle of May, and I've been having sort of an interesting week where I just keep catching myself thinking that I really should be doing X, Y, and Z. I really should be, getting helping my kid get all of his work done. I really should be cleaning this house. I really should not be laying down to take a nap right now. Should. It's just like been repeating itself in my mind. And yeah, it's really funny because you think by now, like we would all have this understanding, this self compassion, this like knowledge that we don't need to do everything that we feel like we should do, and that it's okay for us to just kind of stick to the basics. Um, but yeah, it's catching ourselves over and over again in that place where we are like, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. Wait a minute, I don't necessarily need to be doing all these things I feel like I should be doing. Last week I took a yoga class every day. This week I didn't take a single yoga class, not even one. I can't even believe it, but it's true. And through the week, I kept saying I should do that because I know every time I take one, I feel better. I feel more in my body. I feel more, present. Should. Um, I don't know that that serves us. It really doesn't. And rather than wallowing in the shoulds this morning, I figured maybe we would just do a little bit of easygoing, relaxing practice where we're just allowing ourselves to breathe. That's it. Nothing else required, nothing else necessary this morning. No other expectations of ourselves that except that like we just sit here and we just breathe. And why don't we find a blanket, maybe if you have one around. A blanket's a nice idea for the start of practice. If you don't have a blanket, anything kind of soft will do. A pillow, a rolled up sweatshirt. It doesn't have to be, your standard yoga blanket. But if you do have a yoga blanket, let's take it and we're going to roll it up. We're just going to roll it up into a little like tube, like a little mini bolster. And we're going to set this up on the mat, horizontally across the mat. And then we're just going to come to lie down so that the soles of the feet are connected to the floor. And the blanket is more or less under your shoulder blades. And it's going to be in a different position for everybody. All right, mine is right around like the bottom points of my shoulder blades. But yours might be down a little lower, up a little bit higher, depending on how things are feeling in the back of your body. And, it might take a moment. You might wiggle around for a few moments. You might wiggle up, you might wiggle down until you find what feels like the sweet spot. And then we're just going to hang out here for a little bit. And Pema Chodron says something like, the most difficult times we give ourselves. So I think that it's really, kind of a struggle sometimes to see beyond that, right? To see beyond our own expectations and to allow ourselves to just be. So as you settle into this pose and notice what's going on in the back of your body and notice what's going on in the shoulders and the head and neck, can you step away from what your expectations are and just allow yourself to be present with the sensations that are actually there? Sometimes I get into this pose, into this supported pose, and I think, oh, this should feel really good. And then I get there and it's like, this isn't really feeling so great. And no matter how much I move or adjust, it's still just a little bit weird or a little bit off. And so while I'm usually a proponent of like a generous wiggle or fidget to get yourself comfortable, I want to invite you to stick with and maybe find some stillness, even in a little bit of discomfort today. And that is not to say that you should sit with something that is painful, because when we find pain in our bodies, that's not necessarily a great thing. But if it's just a little bit weird or a little bit uncomfortable, see if you can hang on for a few moments and sort of resist the urge to fidget. Let's see if instead we can just sort of deepen our breath, soften ourselves a touch. Give ourselves a little break from things always needing to be just right. Let's take about 10 more deep breaths here with a blanket underneath our back. And you might notice the depth, the speed of your breath this morning. Good. Last big inhale and exhale right here. All right, and then let's begin to just sort of slide that blanket out from underneath you and reconnect the middle of the back to the floor. And as you do that, draw the knees into sort of frame the chest, draw the knees in wide. You can take kind of like a formal happy baby pose here if you want to, reaching up for the outer edges of your feet. If that doesn't feel quite right, take your hands and bring them to the backs of your thighs. Good. And we'll just take a couple moments, sort of like undoing what just happened there. You might even pick up your head, just to find a little bit of a stretch through those paraspinal muscles. Wonderful. And then we're going to set that right foot down and cross the left ankle over the right. Hug that right thigh in towards the chest. Okay, and this is a nice place to stay right here with that right knee bent, or if you want to send the right foot up towards the ceiling and rotate the ankle around a few times, it's a nice way to just get into the back of your right leg. So your hamstrings, back of your knee, your calf, maybe even down into the glutes and the hip. Good, just a few breaths like this. Right, and then we'll set the right foot back down. And we're gonna take a little bit of a twist here. So you can take your arms out to the side, kind of pick up the hips and scoot them over to the left. And we're gonna drop the lower body over to the right. And as you do this, you might keep your legs in that figure four sort of shape so that you find a nice big stretch through the outside of your left hip. If that feels like really awkward, just bring the knees together, drop them over to the side. Um, for any of you who have some like low back issues, I know that there are a lot of us with those issues these days, a lot of sitting going on. Place something in between your knees. It can help to take some of the pressure off of your SI joint, your sacroiliac joint, the lower back. Good, and just breathe here. Just breathe and try to find a little bit of stillness. I think we're going to stay here for about a minute and a half or so. So see if you can slow down your breathing a bit. Right. Sometimes we're breathing pretty quickly. We're not even aware of it. So bring all of your attention into the speed of your breath. And see if you can slow down your inhale. And then stop at the top, maybe even holding for just a second or two before breathing out, slowing that exhale. And stopping at the bottom just to feel what it's like there too before breathing in again. Good, and just another couple of breaths here, maybe 2 or 3. All right, and bring yourself back through to the center and just stretch your legs out nice and long. Reach those arms overhead. Oh, maybe you're taking a big yawn or your like morning yawn scream. That's something I do sometimes. We're gonna take those ankles over to the left and the upper body over to the left as well. And as I come into banana pose, I always like to take, in this case, it would be my left ankle on top of the right. It's a really nice way to help ground the right side of the body a little bit. And just for 10 breaths or so, let's feel the right side of the body. Breathe deeply into it. Notice that shoulder. And if the shoulders are feeling a little bit uncomfortable in this big overhead stretch, you can think about softening the elbows, or you can even take a blanket overhead to sort of prop that arm up a little bit. And so support yourself if you need to or want to. And really take notice of the way the low belly, the low ribs are moving here. Notice if you are really using your muscles, and if that's happening, see if you can allow your limbs to just sort of become soft and heavy. There is no way that this should look. There is only the way it does look. There's only the way it feels. So notice and breathe. No expectation. Good. And then let's release back through to the center. And as you get there, it might be nice to take the soles of the feet to the floor and rock the knees side to side. If you're craving a little bit of activation, maybe even like a little back bend or an inversion, you could take a bridge pose too, lifting the hips, pressing into the feet. There's no wrong way to be in the middle. You might even pull your knees in towards your chest if you prefer that. But just a few deep breaths. All right, and then set yourself back down if you are lifted. If your feet are away from the floor, bring them back down. And this time we're going to cross the right ankle over the left knee and start to draw that left thigh in towards the chest. If this feels like a lot in the hips, you can always keep that left foot down too and maybe take a little rock from side to side, as if like massaging the glutes a touch. Yeah. But if you want to clasp that left thigh, maybe you're extending the left leg long, rolling the ankle around a few times. So slowing that breath down here in the shape in this figure four. Looking for a little bit of stillness perhaps. And see if you can keep your shoulders somewhat relaxed here. Definitely your jaw. Check in with your jaw. You know, jaw is certainly an important part of our body. Without it, we wouldn't really be able to eat. But when it comes to these poses, our jaw really doesn't need to be working. It just doesn't. We can just let it relax, even if it's only for this half an hour. Good. A few more breaths like this in your figure four. Right. And then go ahead and release that left foot down to the floor. And we're going to take the arms out to a T again. Pick up the hips, scoot them over to the right, and drop your lower body on over to the left. Okay, so if you want to keep your legs just as they were in the figure four, cool. If this feels like, oh, no, this is not good for me, you can always kind of unhook that ankle, bring the knees together, maybe even a little something in between the knees for some additional low back support. Good, and let's breathe for maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes here. Deep breaths into the right side of your rib cage. And I know this is like tricky allergy season for many of us, but see if you can try to breathe in and out of your nose. All right, it might not be easy. Let's see what we can do. Good. Maybe 3 or 4 more breaths here. Wonderful. All right, let's come back through to the center. Extend those legs nice and long. Reach those arms overhead. And we'll slide the heels on over to the right, finding your banana pose. So sliding the heels over to the right, then gently scoot your shoulders over to the right as well. You might cross that the right ankle over the left. That's my preferred way to do it, but maybe you like your left ankle over your right. And that's fine too. Nice big stretch for those deep core muscles. At least that's where I'm feeling it. I always feel it like right in here in the low belly, at the front of the hip. These are the muscles that get tense when we are stressed. These are the muscles that help us like run away from things. So let's take a moment here and just take notice. Right? What do those deep core muscles feel like? Does your belly feel clenched all around them? And can you maybe take a really deep breath or two, like maybe, a few big breaths, 3 or 4, just to move the low belly. Good, to move those lower ribs. And see what you can do to allow your limbs to soften here. If you feel a whole lot of gripping through the arms, the shoulders, the thighs, maybe your feet are crunched up in some way, see if you can relax them just for a few moments. Good, let's take a couple more breaths here, maybe 3. All right, and then let's bring ourselves back through to the center just to kind of decompress for a moment. To allow that left hip to come back to neutral. Maybe you're rocking those knees side to side. Maybe you're taking like a reclined bound angle, soles of the feet together and knees out wide. And then I just want to invite you to come into a final pose, whatever that might be for yourself this morning. Maybe you're used to taking a traditional Shavasana, your legs out nice and long, your arms alongside the body. Maybe you want to move into seated meditation now. We're going to practice a little bit of loving kindness meditation. Maybe you want to like curl up into a ball and lay on your side. And that's also totally fine. Sometimes this act of just softening and curling up into the fetal position can be really, really lovely at taking the edge off of like all of the intensity. All right, so get yourself set up, get more or less comfortable. Good. And I completely butchered the Pema Chodron quote from before, so I'm going to read it off of my screen here. She wrote, in When Things Fall Apart, the really amazing book about getting through the shit, right? Getting through the really challenging, scary, hard times. She wrote, the most difficult times for many of us are the ones we give ourselves. The most difficult times for many of us are the ones we give ourselves. So as you get yourself settled in here, we're going to do a little bit of like self-loving kindness meditation, directing good feelings towards ourselves instead of judgment, instead of harshness, instead of, all of this sharpness about why or how or, the way things should be, right? Instead of all of that, why don't we soften ourselves just for, a couple minutes here? So if your jaw is clenched, if your eyes are tense, see if you can relax them. You might even, if you're sitting up, grab a hold of your earlobes and just pull them down for a moment, as if to ground yourself a little bit, as if to open yourself up to listening to what you're about to tell yourself. Good. If your neck gets tense, see if you can maybe give your neck a tiny little bit of a massage. And if you're sitting up, I want to maybe recommend touching your hands to your heart in some way. It might just be that your hands are sitting one on top of the other, both on top of your heart. Or you could take your fingertips and kind of lightly rest them there too. It's a nice thing to do. And let's just say to ourselves, may I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be peaceful. May I be free. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be peaceful. May I be free. A few more times. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be peaceful. May I be free. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be peaceful. May I be free. You can repeat that to yourself a few more times if you wish. But really sending those words deep down into your heart. Deep down into your belly, and allowing them to guide your day. Maybe just for today, we can calm the inner turmoil a little bit by remembering these words. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be peaceful. May I be free. Wishing yourself all the best. Good. And when you are ready, you can open up your eyes wherever you are. If you're lying down, maybe you want to keep lying down, or maybe you're ready to get up and go about your day. But I just wanted to say thank you for joining me this morning, being here for your practice. I will see you again on Monday morning for about a 15-minute long meditation and mudra practice or hand gesture practice. And then now we have 14 classes per week on Zoom, in addition to a YouTube channel, our YouTube channel, which now has, I don't know, like 30 or 40 videos or something like that on there. So just stay in touch. Let us know what you need. We are here to help. All of the Abide teachers are really excited to connect with you and to help you through this really challenging time. So let us know. Send me an email, shoot me a DM. We are listening, okay? Enjoy your Friday, and I'll see you soon. Bye.